Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante, making Gotham great again. So we've been talking the last couple of weeks about how the United States is really pushing for war with Russia in the Ukraine. They really want it. The Ukrainian president is like, the United States, you're stirring up the war here. And as we've documented on this show since in the 5 years we've been doing this show, that this is what the United States does. We create problems and then act like, boy, they got all nuts. We don't know. We just had to react. We have no choice. So one of the things that's at stake here is Russia exports a lot of, it has oil and natural gas resources. And so it can get, these fossil fuels to Western Europe pretty cheaply. So there's the Nord 2 pipeline. And America is forcing these NATO countries to say no. And I'm going to show you in a second here that they're forcing it, of course, because they're forcing people to buy America's more expensive. This country is insane. It's insane. And people are like, oh, so Graham, you love Putin's authoritarian, blah, blah. Tell me who's more authoritarian than the United States. Tell me, how many countries is Russia bombing right now? How many countries is Russia sanctioning right now? Tell me. Zero? None? Right. But America is doing it all over the world. So we're now forcing Germany to say, oh, they don't want the North. We're forcing all these NATO countries to. And all Putin has been asking for is, I don't want NATO bases. I don't want NATO to further expand east, which if what America wants to do is put NATO bases on Ukrainian soil, which puts more bases right on Russia's border. But this, and I had to, of course, find this in RT. Germany has no say. Germany is an occupied state. This is according to a Russian foreign minister. U.S. ambassadors give orders in Berlin backed by American boots on the ground, Russian foreign minister spokeswoman says to RT. But again, you could say, well, Graham, this is RT. It's slanted. Yeah, sure. Of course it is. But so our news is slanted the other way. And don't you want to at least hear, like, why can't we even just get opposing views on this on our corporate media? That's what bothers me the most. You could disagree with this woman. You can disagree with what RT is saying. Fine, great. But let's just have some type of discourse that goes against the Russia's the big bad guy. America has no choice but to get involved. No, we stir this crap up. Our own media does not hold the United States government accountable. It just doesn't. America's NATO allies have surrendered all their sovereignty to Washington and aren't allowed to have any say on issues like Nord Stream 2. This is a quote from this Russian ambassador. Germany, according to a number of relevant characteristics, this is neither mine nor Russia's opinion. This is according to politological terms and metrics, remains one way or another an occupied state. 30,000 of American troops are stationed there, and they've been there since the end of World War II. I'm going to show you this map in a second that you've seen before. We have American troops and bases all around Europe, basically surrounding Russia. Can you imagine if there was 30,000 Russian troops in Mexico, or even just somewhere in Central America, El Salvador, Ecuador, Panama? Can you imagine if there were 30,000 Russian troops that close to us? We would go nuts. Washington is trying to strong-arm Germany into buying liquefied natural gas from the U.S. However, the price of American LNG is much higher. So it's just, again, it's about oil and money. This isn't the sovereignty and the freedom of the Ukrainian people. And all we're showing is that Russian troops building up on the border. What about all of our buildup? So the U.S. told Germany to tax the people some more and make up the difference through subsidies. That's what we said. Germany was like, well, the Russian is cheaper because they don't have to put it on oil tankers. They can just throw it through a pipeline. Now, I'm green energy, so I don't want anybody's. I wish like Russia and all of Europe would get off of fossil fuels, just like I wish the United States would. but the United States could be leading the world with that. And rather than stirring up World War III in the Ukraine, we could be like, hey, let's help Russia financially and economically get off of their oil dependence, because it's one of their number one exports. That and weapons are Russia's number one exports, so that we can save the human race from extinction due to climate collapse. No, we just got to ramp up war. I mean, you can't sell cheap oil. You got to buy our expensive oil. That's what this comes down to. So why is Russia so bent out of shape? Gee, I wonder. Here's Russia. Here's all of the American, these are the American bases in Japan and South Korea, right? This is over here, I think, in Thailand or something. We have bases Pakistan, Afghanistan, right? Turkey, Kazakhstan, right on the Russian border. Here's Turkey, very close to Russia. So here's the Ukraine. So America just can't handle not having another base right on their border. And we have it all through bases all through Western Europe. Look at this. If this many Russian bases surrounded the United States, we would go insane. This is the equivalent to, oh, here's a bunch of bases in Canada. Here's a bunch of bases in Mexico, and in the Caribbean. There's Russian bases in, Brazil, Argentina, the Bahamas, Cuba. I mean, that's the equivalent of what this is. I'm not making any excuses for any bad stuff Putin or Russia has done. I'm not making any excuses for them at all. I'm just saying we're worse. we act like, and then we're always pushing this, like the sovereignty of the United freedom fighters. No, we've been colluding with neo-Nazis in the Ukraine. And there's a story. I mean, going back, there's a story on there was Ukrainian, basically, I don't know what you'd call them back then, neo-Nazis who were working with the Nazis in World War II. The Nazis then realized that it wasn't in their best interest, but they massacred a bunch of people in the Ukraine. Ukrainians like massacred Jews and stuff like that yes, that awful. So there's a history of neo-Nazis in the Ukraine that we've worked with. Neo-fascists play an important official or tolerated role in U.S.-backed Ukraine. This is from 2018. The CIA may be breeding Nazi terror in the Ukraine. The CIA has been secretly training anti-Russian groups in Ukraine since 2015 under Obama and Biden. Everything we know points to the likelihood that includes neo-Nazis inspiring far-right terrorists across the world. So it's about oil money, but it's also about we're shipping all these. So we want people our oil companies, and we're using Nazis to do this. And the United States has a long history through Operation Paperclip, where we took ex-Nazis and brought them to the United States after World War. They weren't ex-Nazis, but they were Nazis after World War II. Once a Nazi, always a Nazi. And they worked in our space program. Then we've talked about this on Government Secrets, Operation Bloodstone, where since World War II, especially during the height of the Cold War in the 50s and 60s and 70s, we were aligning with Nazis in communist countries to try to undermine the Soviet Union. So we have no problem with Nazis when they're going against Russia. But all of this fear mongering and war, it ramps up. What does it do? Oh, it's good for the defense industry. This is from OpenSecrets.org. These are the top recipients of defense funding in 2020. Joe Biden, 3.1 million. Trump, 2.7. Boy, they really hedged their bets. Bernie Sanders got 800 grand. At 2, Bernie. At 2. Republicans and Democrats. Look at all that money. Here's more of these pimps. Elizabeth Warren in the Senate. Oh, Democrat. Republican. Pete Buttigieg. Look at all this money. A couple of about $3-4 million right here. So, all right, let's go back real quick. So we showed you all this funding because this funding, this is all good for the defense. I forgot to connect this dot. All of these bases get funded by the never-ending war machine. So the democratically controlled Congress and the Senate just approved Joe Biden to get $778 billion for his war budget. They wanted $768. They gave him the Senate gave him an extra $10 billion. So this, having all these bases and bases like this all over the world, we have bases surrounding Iran and everywhere else. This is good for the defense industry. That's why we need to concoct, oh, there's a problem in the Ukraine. Ooh, we got to send more troops. This isn't enough. We're hoping Russia does something to justify a war with them. We're hoping for it, even though it would probably cause World War III and we'd all die. That's how psychotic these people are. Follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth. This is good for business. The Ukraine stirrup is good for business. So it's, you see the business that we need. We need them to buy oil, Western Europe to buy oil from us. We've talked about this. This is what Syria was about. Russia and Syria and Iran wanted to get Iranian oil through Syria on a pipeline. That's why everyone was fighting, because we want to get Saudi oil through Syria and sell it to Western Europe. Western Europe has like one of the biggest oil markets in the world. So we're just mad that they're selling Iranian oil and Russian oil to Western Europe when we want to sell Saudi oil. This is nothing about freedom. That's why we align ourselves with Nazis in the Ukraine to concoct this civil war. Follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth, guys. That's what it is. That's what it always will be. I've said it once. I've said it a million times. Don't fall for it. You can't trust the corporate media, but you can come here for this. I'll show it to you. I got to dig deep, but I'll show it to you. Support what we're doing, everybody. We've been demonetized for a year. We've had our subscriptions taken down. Spread the word, spread the word to some other people. Shave your knuckles for justice. Boom. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. We are still in our 9th month of demonetization from YouTube. So support what we're doing at patreon.com/Graham Elwood or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, which is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. It's free to sign up, and there's a premium level at $10 a month. And for that, you get everybody on the platform's premium content. Myself, Lee Camp, Ron Placone, Jimmy Dore, Whitney Webb, Kim Iverson, Abby Martin, and many, many others. You can also support what we're doing at Venmo at Graham-Elwood and go to GrahamElwood.com. We have a PayPal button and a PO box. I also have crypto wallets, which are all in the show notes. Thanks for supporting what we do.